Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. I have quite a nice looking rack. I can't see a bingo with it. I've got the F for score. And I think oaf leaves the best rack leave. Ah, well, I have oafiest. Superb. Gosh, nearly missed that. I don't think oafiest has any front hooks. If it has, I'll probably find out. Oafiest 78. I've got the Q with the U, which is a good combination. No bingo that I can see. And it would be nice to play off an O and an R, so Roke would do that in column 6 with the Q on the triple letter square. And I'm not sure about roked. There's one of those words like roke which doesn't take a D, it just takes an S and a T, and that it might be this one. So I probably won't risk it, although roked would, with the D, would be a superior move if it's good. Just looking for an alternative play. Oh no, oafiest has come off. Okay. Disappointing. Right. Well, it's possible there could be an 8 with this rack. Well, foamiest if my opponent plays an M. But my opponent knew my tiles, so has probably avoided providing a floater, which gives me a bingo. Can't see anything through the C. None of the vowels look good. And I can't see anything with the T. So, how to sort this out? I'm looking for a double-double in column 5. I can't see one. And I can't see a way of playing oaf for a good score. So do I have anything through the C? Well, I'm somewhat thrown by that initial phony. I do want to play the F. So what about of? And the advantage of this is that I'm giving nothing away. I'm keeping a great 5-letter set, albeit slightly vowel heavy. Right, I have idiots and coaties. So idiots in column 9. And I also have that in row I, although both spots could be blocked. Great, column 9 isn't blocked. And has anything additional been provided? I don't think so. Now, what about column 8? Do I have a 9-letter play through I-N? Can't see one. Let me get this down. I don't think Coty takes an E, otherwise I could play this one square lower for more. Idiot 69. Not great through an L. I would have biologic, no L available. And nothing else comes to mind. I have a 40-point lead. 4 takes an N and an S after it for future reference. Gobi and Biog are both good. As both leave a vowel heavy rack leave. Column 8 is quite hot at the top and the bottom. in could be extended down to the triple word square. I'm just wondering if I have a play at the top. Can't see one. Kogi and bogey are both good. That would sort my rack out and wouldn't score very much. A new double-double lane in row E, but I can't take advantage of it. Gobioid is good. And I think it's good. But it certainly sorts the rack out. There's nothing particularly worth hanging on to in this rack. I'm not totally sure of this, and I'm still slightly thrown by my opening bingo. But I need to get back on track. I think this is good. Back door through a B. And quite a balanced rack. I'm just waiting to see if this is challenged. Still, I think an X to come, so this I is quite dangerous. And a 50-point play could easily be played there with the X. 16 minutes on my clock and on my opponent's. Well, 57-point play by my opponent. Now, who is now 20 points in front. I've got the K, so I'm looking to score with that. TOK is not good, but C and D and O go in this spot. AB takes an A, so I'm wondering about a 4-letter play across here. So I've got Cora. Let me see what that scores. That's 30 points, which is good. The rack leave is good. A nice balance of vowels and consonants, and they're all bingo-y. It would be nice to get my K on the double letter square, but I can't see a way of doing that. And I can't see anywhere else on this board where there's a 30-point play available. Well, no bingo. But I've got a scoring tile in the F. Jag takes an S and a Y after it, so that's a pretty good score for whoever gets one of these two Ys that are still to come. Now I have an N for going after the end of fawn. So I could play Codon in row J for a score in the high 20s. ABBA takes a C after it, and Tor takes an O. But I can't see a good play in that spot. Well, I could play Doc there. It doesn't use the F. But 37 points, pretty good. It's a nice spot for a 5-letter play, because my O's could go underneath K and Tor, but I just can't see a play which works. It would have to end in the C, which is where the difficulty lies. I could just play of and if, keeping quite a good rack leave for 26 points. That stays available. There goes the hot Y spot. Puny takes nothing in front. So this is the Doc play, and I can make that Doc O. The O isn't that great. 39 points. Quite good. The F I'm retaining will give me a score, and if I pick up an O or an I or an E, I've got a high 20s play up here, and Doc O gives nothing away. And I think the 2 extra points is worthwhile rather than keeping the O on my rack, but there's probably not much in it. And, well, there's only one O to come, so I think I'll keep it on my rack. Pretty balanced. But I can't see a bingo here. I've still got the N for going after fawn, and I've still got the F for score. So I could play if and if, keeping Dinor, which is quite a balanced rack leave. Toro takes nothing in front of it, nor does Cora. 14 minutes on my clock, 46 tiles left. There could well be an 8-letter bingo, or one or more 8-letter bingos with this rack, but I can't see any. Quite a close game, just 13 points in it. And my opponent on turn. And still both blanks to come. So it'd be quite good to play off a lot of tiles. Good score for my opponent, 48 points. And they've played off 5 tiles, so they may have a blank. But it's not a particularly bingo-y board, not a huge number of bingo lanes available. Now I'm wondering if I've got to play through this Z, which would score well. Or indeed a play running across row K with my O underneath the Z. Can't see such a play. I've got Fjord on my rack. Nowhere great for that. So I think I'll go with if. It's not playing off a lot of tiles, but the tiles I'm keeping are quite bingo-y. And if I draw one of these E's, I'll have a pretty good 6-letter set. I don't, and I don't draw well. I duplicate the N. But I do have the M for score. So I could play Nim in row K, which would sort the rack out. I've got Nimrod and Dormin as long words. This E is a useful floater. It could be part of an 8-letter bingo. Can't see such a play. So at the moment I've seen Nim. I am 9 points behind and my opponent's on turn, so I'm not in great shape, but I'm not out of it either. I think the blanks could well be determining in this game. And if I play Nim, I'll be opening up quite a hot lane in row L, both for bingos and non-bingos. But my Nim play's been blocked, a good score by my opponent, who's gotten rid of a couple of high-scoring tiles. Just looking to see if there's a play down from the Z. I can't see such a play. A couple of pretty good floaters. Now, what I can do is play Nim up here for 22 points. Not a huge score, but I can't see anything better. Great. I draw the first blank. And, well, there could be a bingo here and there might not be. Although they're all bingo-y tiles, it doesn't feel like a great combination. Nothing is coming to mind. Let me just consider the blank as a vowel and see if anything it comes up. Can't see anything there. And I'm considering 8s as well as 7s. Well, surely there are some 8s with this set. I have Indentor in column 8, but that doesn't work because I would have to burn the blank, and I'm not getting enough points to do that. Intorted. Okay, that's good, but neither E is in the right place. Anything else? I've got the intro prefix. 11 minutes on my opponent's got 13 on mine. Nothing there. And I can't see anything there. So my opponent gets 15, so finally has slowed down, which is good, but still has a 30-point lead. Now, how can I sort this rack out so that I can bingo as soon as possible? And am I sure I haven't got a bingo through this E? 12 minutes on my clock. So I could have a bingo beginning EN or RE. But I'm just not seeing anything. So to sort the rack out, I need to play off one of my Rs. And I've got no scoring tiles. I could play OR down here, but I'd rather keep 3 consonants than 4. And I'm reluctant to take out this E since it's quite useful for me. However, there's a lot of E's to come. So if I played, for example, if I played Drent across here, I'm increasing my chances of drawing an E. I'm opening up a new bingo lane. I'm giving my opponent the lure of playing down here as a non-bingo in column 1. It won't score much, and that will open up a new bingo lane for me. The downside of this move is the score, which is dismal. If I simply had an E, I could have played Dower across here. So I can't see anything across in row K. This doesn't feel great, but I think it's okay. Well, it's nice to see the second blank. I would rather have seen it after I played a bingo. But it's good that my opponent hasn't got it, and I most certainly have a bingo with this rack. Absolutely 100%. I've got soirees in row N and hewers. The same in row J and ins. I've probably got something down from the G. Geordie's no longer good. Well, I surely do have something there. Although I haven't seen it yet. Gorgères, I think, is good. That would work. And well, a nice bingo by my opponent, but I was hoping to get in first, and I didn't. And I think I probably gifted the spot at which to play that with my Drent play. Anyway. So a play down from the G would now have to end on the T. And I'm not going to score very much for this bingo because I've only got 5 points on my rack, 10 minutes on my clock. So probably best if I play parallel to element, beginning here. So I haven't seen anything yet, but just suppose it began RE. Ah, well, do I have meteors? I think I do. Ah, no, because OT is not good. So let me go back to my original plan, which was a re-word. That's not going to work. What about a row word? No. Okay. So I could play meteors underneath element, but that's not good. Actually, I'm going to pluralize element. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think a play above element would have scored more, but there may not be one. Meteor's 72. Pretty good. Through an I would have Huey piles. No I available. Still one to come, so it could be stuck out there. Onto an R, I think I would have Plushier. I'm 7 points behind, but my opponent's on turn. Column 2 is quite hot for plays beginning Z, something R. That would have to be an A or an O in there. Still the Q to come, that could be decisive. And 2 U's. So I certainly need to play off the U on my rack. I don't want to be stuck with more than one. The H is my scoring tile. Umu is good. So I could play Sulph, if that's good. I have Sulphide through a D. I'm not sure if Sulph is good. It could be. 47 points. Well, it would be nice to be sure of that, and I'm not. Now, has my opponent provided a floater that works? Do I have a bingo? Can't see anything. I'm really tempted to try Sulph. The points are just so good. And I'm quite a long way behind. Just waiting to see if this comes off. 51 points if it stays on. 3 tiles in the bag. My opponent could well have the Q with the U. I don't have a great rack. Can't see a bingo through the N. And I'm going to struggle to score. If my opponent doesn't take column 15, I've got oiled. Great. Sulph stayed on. The bag's empty. I can see what my opponent's got. I can now plan an out in 2. I'm 12 points behind. What can my opponent do with the Q? Are there any hot spots I need to block? I've got 7 minutes on my clock. So my opponent's got QU, so has got Qua and Aqua, so certainly Aqua in column 14 is pretty good. I can't see anything sticking the Q on this triple letter square. So at the moment, just Aqua down here. Where else for the Q? Okay, I can't see anywhere, although there might be somewhere, so I need to block here. What's the best way of doing that? What about roiled? I'm going to put this down and see what my opponent's got. Roiled for 20 would take me to 379, 8 points in front, and I would have just an I left. I don't think this is giving anything away. But what I don't like about it is retaining just one tile. I'm going to struggle to score much with the I. I'd much rather have a couple of scores in the high teens than 120 and 1 squib. Now, what about playing down here? So can I get my D on this square? Well, I don't want to do that because that leaves Aqua available. So what about playing down column 13? Trouble with that is I'm not going to score very much. Just checking to see if I have a bingo through the N in my mind. I can't see one. 5 minutes on my clock. What about what I don't like about Royal is, apart from retaining just one tile, is the score just scraping up at 20. Since I am coming from a position of being 12 behind, it might not be enough. Can I start next to this Y? That would mean beginning with an O. So I've got... Well, I can't see a way of playing off the I. I don't really want to keep two I's. Roiled may be enough. So let me consider something else. Let me consider Lido. 15 points, but then I'm retaining Aya, so I can play Dire for 15. I don't think this D spot is of any use for my opponent. Lido, am I providing anything for my opponent? I'm certainly blocking Aqua. I'm providing nowhere for it. I'm providing nothing which helps my opponent. 15 points takes me to 3-7-4, a 3-point lead. And then I've got Dire. If my opponent blocks Dire, well, I've got Rain, but for not many points. But I don't think my opponent will block Dire. I think this is okay. Let's find out. I haven't seen anywhere else which is really good for my opponent. Any score of 30 and a play of the Q would probably do for me. My opponent's got 8 minutes to find a play. So I should spend that time finding something better than Dire. Haven't seen anything yet. I've got Rain as an alternative out, which doesn't score very much. $18 points for my opponent, leaving QU in the bag. My opponent has got a 15-point lead. Dire for 15. Just wait for my opponent to formally end the game, which they do. And the final score, 389 to my opponent, 411 to me. A winning margin of 22 points, so a really tight game. Let's see what I missed. It was me to go fast, and I disgraced myself with a phony. I should have played oaf, as I was initially planning on doing so. I think I was possibly confusing Ophiest with Oofiest. Anyway, this was my opponent's rack. They played Coty. I had footy through the O. What did I do? I played off for 12, which was pretty poor. However, my rack leave of AEIST is pretty good. It's vowel heavy, but apart from that, it is good. So I suspect of is not particularly inferior to the other moves here. In particular, it doesn't give anything away. My opponent plays win. I have idiots, which was the only bingo. And note that there's only one spot for it, so Coty doesn't take an E. Horrible rack for my opponent. They play jag. And I played Dweebovision for 24, and I think that's better than Obi for 22. CGIO isn't a great rack leave. My opponent's rack, they played Tax, which was a nice score, 57 points. So I'm now 20 points behind. And I played Doc for 25. Or do I? I don't think I do. No, I play Cora for 30, and I could have played Coro, which I think would have been a better play. The A is a more bingo-y tile. My opponent plays Puny. This is my rack, and this is when I do play Doc for 37. That looks fine. My opponent plays Zetas and Fid. That's quite nice. Running underneath Zetas. Why didn't I do that? Well, I played If up here, keeping back the D. Okay, actually not terribly much between these plays. My opponent plays Hewer. And I play Nim, and I think that's better than Dim. Duplicate N is not good. My opponent has Elevate, and nowhere to play it, but Vegilate was on offer. Wow, through the G of Jaggy, making Vum and N. That would have been nice. Anyway, my opponent plays Vat for 15. This is my rack, and I didn't miss a bingo. I played Drent, which I didn't feel good about, but look at the alternatives here. Drent was actually the highest scoring play amongst the ones being shown. So certainly not a bad play as I feared. It was, however, just what my opponent needed. They have Element, and it was really Element which made the game particularly tight, because I was sitting there with 2 blanks ready to play a bingo and hopefully zoom off into the distance, and instead I'm bingoing just to draw level. I played Meteors, but the highest scoring play, N3. Oh wow, Senores. Okay, for 82, that would have been quite nice. What did Meteors score? 72, so I scored 10 points less than I could have got, but any play in row N is going to open up row O. A14. Okay, and any play in column 14 is going to open up column 15. So Meteors is probably quite okay. Not a nice rack for my opponent. They play Lumen. And this is where I had doubts about Sulf, but decided in the end that it was good. And it was. My opponent plays the buy, and now we're into the end game. The bag is empty. Let me just see what my opponent had. So my opponent played a buy, keeping a U and an A, and drew a Q, which looks quite good, but actually did not work out for my opponent, because this rack is awful. Gloried for 30. I didn't see that. Okay, well that's no good, because it would have allowed my opponent to play Aqua. Roiled is what I considered, but I'm quite happy with Lido. I think it works really well. It provides nothing for my opponent. It kills my opponent's Q spot, and it gives me a nice out that my opponent can't block without losing. Now, what could my opponent have done here? Well, my opponent played Varna, and there's just no Q plays at all, which may mean, I didn't consider this in game time, but actually I probably could have played out individually and stuck my opponent with the Q, so I could have had 3 separate plays with E, I and R, which might have been marginally better than Dyer. Anyway, I did play Dyer. That was the highest scoring outplay. So pretty exciting game, and it all hung in the balance to the end, and there was quite a challenging end game, but I find most end games challenging. So I hope you enjoyed watching that, and I will see you next time.